Hey everyone, Mr. MCA here. This is a lap guide for the new lap time challenge taking place at Tsukuba Circuit with the Garage RCR Civic, which is an interesting name. But anyways, to access this lap time challenge, going over to sport mode. So make sure you have menu book number 9 completed. Access the online time trial and you'll see the lap time challenge hanging out towards the right. We'll deal with the other two later. But anyways, so this event ends at the end of October 11, 2023. Fully stock Garage RCR Civic on the sports medium tires. And your goal is to go within 3% of the world record time when the event ends. As when the event ends, that's when your lap time gets counted. And hopefully you're in that 3% timers to get the cool 2 million credits. Now, oh boy, this car is really understeery. So you have to be really careful with your throttle input because it's really easy for this car to get a lot of wheel spin, especially as you're coming out of a turn. So if you get that wheel spin, you risk losing some momentum, and if you're in the middle of a turn, you're just going to understeer off the track. You also need to brake pretty early, as at least to me, it feels like this car doesn't have brakes, so yeah, you're going to want to brake early. And for this final turn coming up, you can take it on 4th gear, and if you're setting up for a new lap, you can take it a bit wide to give yourself a better start to the new lap. So 4th gear through this final corner, just trying to set yourself up for the new lap. Bring yourself towards the left side of the track because your first braking point is the edge of the path that is on the left. Brake as much as you can, make your way down to 2nd gear for a bit more turn in, and almost right away, make your way towards the inside of the turn as you're kind of going to want to hug it. Ease off of the brakes as you're turning in, so doing a bit of trail braking. When you hit the apex, shift up to 3rd gear and just carefully get on the throttle as you want to reduce the odds of getting any of that nasty wheel spin. Now, as you hit the apex of this mini right turn, that's where you're going to want to start to brake. So I brake right around here and full braking power, and then make your way down to 2nd gear. Slowly ease off of the brakes as you're turning in, so doing a bit of trail braking. Hug this turn, shift up to 3rd gear as you hit the apex, and again, just carefully get back on the throttle to avoid that wheel spin. Then before the barrier on the left changes color, that's where you want to brake for a short moment. So around 75% braking power. But as you hit this apex, shift up to 4th gear, carefully get back on the throttle, and then as you go through this left kink, you want to do a little lifting off the throttle so the car can turn in a bit more, and again, avoid that nasty wheel spin. Then just as the green turf on the left starts, that's where you want to start to brake, so full braking power, make your way down to 2nd gear, and just like on the other hairpins, you want to try to hug this hairpin. And as you're getting ready to exit the hairpin, shift up to 3rd gear and just, again, carefully get back on the throttle. And I know I said it weird, but I really want to make it clear that you need to carefully get back on the throttle to avoid that nasty wheel spin and understeer. But anyways, final braking point just before you pass the 50-meter board. So this is just before the final sector starts. And you can stay on 4th gear for this final turn, trying to hug the inside of the final turn and just being pretty careful with your throttle input to make sure that you don't get any of that nasty wheel spin. And as soon as you're pointing towards the start finish line, get back on the throttle and finish your lap. Alright, so we'll go through this again, but this time I'm not going to stop the video. So as I mentioned earlier, you do need to brake pretty early with this car as this car is really understeery. You need to be really careful getting back on the throttle as this car likes to generate a lot of wheel spin and understeer. So it's all about just trying to be really careful with your throttle inputs, especially as you're coming out of a corner. One thing I do a lot is shift down to 2nd gear for more rotation, then exit on 3rd gear. For this right turn, this is where actually I shift up to 4th gear. That way I don't have to shift around here and cost me a bit of time. Then shift down to 2nd gear, again braking pretty early for this hairpin. Then shift up to 3rd gear as I'm exiting the final hairpin, and just being really careful with the throttle input to avoid that nasty wheel spin and understeer. For this final turn, it is possible to get away with staying on 4th gear and just hugging the inside of the turn, just being really careful with the throttle input to avoid that understeer, and then go ahead and finish the lap. So getting a 1 minute .862. We'll see how this lap time compares as the weeks go on, but that is all for this video. So this is Mr. MCA, and I'll see you in the next video.